does. And for those out there listening tonight, we've had a little bit of technical difficulties with our devices.
Yeah, well, honestly, I think we might blame it on
Could be the internet.
Could be. We couldn't quite nail it down, but we're going now, so we're good.
Yes. So go to Facebook, Spotify, or YouTube, TikTok, The Other People's Show. You want to be able to get all kinds of updates about the show, things going on in the future, and keeping up to date with the times. Now, I know Casey has a show that you do on Mondays and Wednesdays.
Monday and Wednesdays, yeah. Lunch Break Live. It's right around. Honestly, I was doing it at noon. I tried 12:30 this past week because I was I'm trying to kind of gauge where the best time is.
Yep.
In comparison, 12 o'clock seems to be better, but sometimes I wonder if maybe 1 o'clock might even work a little better.
Right.
So, it's trial and error right now. So, yeah, like 12:30-ish.
So that's going to be something that people should definitely check out.
Yeah, it's definitely worth checking out. If you're having kind of a rough day, it's worth checking out. If you're having a great day, if you need a little insight into something maybe, or just random stuff that may lend itself to some perspective in your life.
Definitely, or could give a little bit of motivation.
Sure, motivation, absolutely.
So please do check that out. And I'm thinking that you've got your channel too. You want to promote your YouTube channel?
Yeah, sure. You can go to YouTube. It's at Casey Messick. It's my name. So so most of those live feeds that I've done on Facebook here in the last 2-3 weeks, maybe they're all up there. There'll be other stuff up there that I can't necessarily put on Facebook, live stream on Facebook. So there'll be other content there that is not available on Facebook.
Right. So yeah, please check out those places, and we have a lot of fun stuff in store tonight.
Yeah, absolutely.
As we said, and also all shows, past, present, and future, will be online and streaming, so you can check those out.
Yeah, and
all the time
on various platforms, like you said, between YouTube and Spotify, those two alone.
Yep.
Pretty much will cover everything. So that covers these radio shows from this point forward, plus, like you said, all the past stuff. So Real Talk, the past episodes, and they're all great episodes too. So all of it's worth checking out for sure.
Yes, so please do that. So tonight, Pulp Fiction. I would have to say probably one of my top 10 movies of all time.
Yeah, easily. I wasn't sure where I was going to place it in that kind of top 10 range. But yeah, once I watched it again, I was like, yeah. I mean, of course it's a great movie.
Yeah.
Because some of the scenes are just, the whole movie just seems iconic when you go back and watch it in retrospect, knowing the success that it had.
And it's like like you said, each individual scene is almost a pop cultural phenomenon, like a scene.
Oh yeah,
it's in the bobbleheads. It can be in like photographs now. It
could have been anything
on mugs, shirts. Even to this day, I still see people.
Memes. Well, Vincent Vega's characters and all kinds of memes and stuff.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah,
but I know like one of the scenes, and it just seems like such a random scene, but stands out to me. It's right early on in the movie. And it's it's at the beginning when they're in the apartment to find the briefcase, and Jules is eating the burger, and he takes that drink, and it's like that close up on Sam Jackson's face, and he just sucks the whole thing just
until you hear
dry. And I don't know, it's just like it seems like nothing, but I don't know. It just seems like such a great scene when you watch it back.
Yeah, it really does. So we'll say the lives of two mob hitmen, a boxer, a gangster, and his wife, and two dinner bandits intertwine in 4 tales of violence and redemption.
Yeah.
That's pretty much the synopsis in a nutshell.
Is definitely the synopsis, and it's tied together brilliantly, really.
Agreed. So we have Quentin Tarantino, written and directed by, and actually co-written. He always gets the 100% credit, but his co-writer and also director, Roger Avery, was the co-writer. And Roger Avery, for those that don't know, was also made Killing Zoe.
Yeah.
As we covered before.
I forgot that.
Yeah.
I forgot that, Roger. And we talked about it then, because that's what we've been discussing doing this show.
Yeah, for quite a while. Since the beginning, almost the beginning. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm glad we saved it for the radio show.
Me too. Quentin Tarantino produced Killing
Yeah.
Zoe.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of and also another movie that Roger Avery did is the very underrated Rules of Attraction.
Yeah, which we are going to do.
Yeah, we have to, because I want to open up people. A lot of people I know have heard of Pulp Fiction. They've heard of Quentin Tarantino. Some of these movies like Reservoir Dogs, Jackie Brown, Kill Bill, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. But they haven't heard of the Bret Easton Ellis novel, The Rules of Attraction,
Yeah.
which is what the movie is based upon, and it's an excellent movie.
Fantastic movie. I'm looking forward to watching it again. I'm actually kind of surprised I haven't watched it since we've discussed it so many times.
Yeah. When was the last time you think you watched that one?
My goodness, at least a decade ago.
Really? Okay.
At least. A lot of these movies that we've been doing, it's probably, like, if I'm being honest about it, it's probably been a good decade on a lot of them.
Right.
But it's great to revisit them.
And I do think a lot of these movies that we've chose, if you go back and look in the vault that that we went to, we've chosen movies that I think that do stand the test of time.
Yeah.
From one of the greatest film decades in history.
Yeah.
Which is the 90s.
The 90s.
Yeah.
I mean, it's great. The 90s are great.
So we have, as we said, directed by Quentin Tarantino. He won an Oscar for Best Writing, Best Screenplay for this movie. He is also the director of Reservoir Dogs, Jackie Brown, Kill Bill, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Yeah.
And then the westerns those westerns.
So what was it like? Did he do Django Unchained?
Was that Django? Yeah. And then the Hateful Eight.
Oh, Hateful Eight! I forgot about.
And Quentin Tarantino only has one movie left. Now, let me ask you about this, because you're kind of in the process of becoming a director, because you're writing and putting together a documentary.
Yeah, correct.
So you're about to step into the seat of documentarian.
Yeah.
So you're in Quentin Tarantino's position, and he says in his mind that a lot of the great directors fade out over time and just end up making quote unquote garbage films, and they're not as quality as they were.
Right.
So he's going to make 10 quality films, then step away.
Yeah.
Now, what would you think? Because you're coming into it, and you know a lot about movies and directors and such. Do you agree with him, or do you think you should continue to make movies until you no longer can make them anymore?
I mean, I suppose it probably depends, maybe on the type of movies you're doing. Mm-hmm. I mean, I think if you're making like documentaries, I mean, as long as there's a topic to talk about, like, you can make a good documentary.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
Now, will the formula kind of repeat itself? I mean, maybe, but in a documentary setting, I feel like it's not so much the formula of how it's delivered. I mean, you find a good formula that works, you go with it. That's carried by the topic.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? Now, as far as Hollywood-style movies and stuff, I mean, yeah, kind of, because I can see where it's like that. And even with, like these franchise movies, are really, how good are all of them?
Mm-hmm.
Are some of them trash? I don't know, because honestly, I haven't seen that many of like the Marvel movies, and so I've seen a handful of them.
Me too.
And I started getting mixed up, and I'm like, well, I feel like I should go back and watch these from the beginning.
Well, I also feel with those, and this will probably step on people's toes, and this is a movie critic show pretty much, but the Marvel films is a lot with a lot of romantic comedies or a lot of comedies. They follow a formula,
right? And
for the most part that nothing really is at risk for Spider-Man, or Batman, not really. You know what I mean?
Correct. Yeah.
Because if they did kill off Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man, but they've made these alternate universes, so they can always come back.
Right, exactly.
So no one is ever really dead. Nothing is ever really up for stakes.
Right.
But Pulp Fiction, on the other hand, I was watching an interview with Charlie Rose and Quentin Tarantino when Quentin Tarantino first went on and spoke of this movie.
Yeah, that was interesting.
It was. They were talking about how violent this movie is. But if you look at the movie, most of the violence is not on screen.
Correct. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It's really, it's one of those movies of implied violence.
I mean, what's the most violent scene in the movie? Where Marvin gets his head blown off accidentally?
Yeah. I mean,
which is in my opinion, one of the most comedic parts of the movie.
Yeah, I mean.
And unexpected the first time. I remember watching that.
Yeah.
Did he just get his head? Because he was like, "What do you think about that, Marvin?" And then it's boom. His head splatters all over the back of the windshield.
Yeah.
What?
Wait, right.
And I actually had to rewind because it was VHS copy.
Oh, jeez.
So I rewound the VHS and watched that scene a couple times.
I just feel slightly dated VHS.
Yeah.
But this is the vault, so most of the listeners probably are familiar with VHS.
Yes.
I feel like if I went into my kitchen right now and I started talking about VHS tapes to some of these
you'd get these blank stares.
Yeah, like no, maybe I wouldn't, but it seems like I would.
Possibly.
Like, well, because I wonder if you're like 17 right now, like how long have VCRs been out of Walmart? I can't imagine if you're 17 right now, you've probably ever seen a VCR in a Walmart in your life.
I bet not.
Maybe on a shelf, but it's got a DVD player sitting on top of it, or or something.
Yeah. Or it could be one of those like occasionally I would still see like the television with the VHS and the DVD, like one unit.
Right.
I worked at a radio station in DC, and it was a very high technological station, but in one of the producers' booths was like a little television, and it had it was like maybe a 9-inch TV, and it had a VHS and DVD.
Wow.
Yeah. Jeez. And this is the truth. Occasionally, if there was like this was before like streaming was what it is now.
Right.
If there was like a movie that I wanted to watch and I couldn't find it on DVD or Blu-ray,
right,
I would find it on VHS and then watch it on that little 9-inch TV screen.
Wow. I used old VCRs for a while because I had an older TV, and when I got the DVD player, I didn't have the
it wasn't compatible.
No, yeah, but I could hook it into the VCR, run the VCR to the TV, and
right,
I was good to go.
Cool.
So, lesson for people with, if you happen to scoop up some old TV and you got to hook your game system up to it.
That's true. All the gaming systems wouldn't hook up to
maybe not though, honestly, because like Xbox and that's pretty much all like HDMI.
Right.
Cables
right.
But like your old PlayStation 2, you can hook it up to the old TV via the VCR.
That's true. So let's dive right in. We've got some facts here. We've got the budget, $8 million.
Wow.
On the budget of Pulp Fiction. Would you think it was more or less?
I would have thought more.
Now, $5 million went to the cast.
I would imagine, because I was going to say the cast alone is like ridiculous.
Who would you think got paid the most out of this movie?
Man, my gut wants to say John Travolta, but I don't think it's John Travolta.
It was Bruce Willis.
That was going to be my next guess. Was Bruce Willis.
And Bruce Willis originally talked to Quentin Tarantino about playing Vincent Vega. That's who Bruce Willis wanted to play.
I would imagine he's a cool character, man.
And then Quentin Tarantino had said, well, I have, John Travolta in mind for this. How about you read for this?
Yeah.
Which was Butch.
Butch, yeah.
And then he ended up reading for Butch, and then, as history goes, we know.
Yeah, right.
But Bruce Willis was the main reason this film even got made.
Really?
The studio did not want John Travolta.
At all?
No.
Wow.
John Travolta at the time was on a losing streak. He had done like 3 Look Who's Talking movies.
Oh, right.
And all his movies were box office losers.
So this is like Travolta's rebirth.
Yep. So, they say that this was his, rebirth.
Kind of, yeah.
And his comeback. His big comeback.
Is better term for it.
And what was interesting, Bruce Willis, pretty much was the reason this got made, but yet John Travolta got the Academy Award.
Yeah, well, his character carries a good part of it.
Yes.
Well, that's unfair to say because,
the way it's
cast is ridiculous, but like his character is a cool cast.
It's a perfect cast.
It's a perfect cast. The chemistry is all there.
Even down to like Eric Stoltz.
Yeah.
We'll bring it back around to him. Even back to his wife. I think her name is Trish or something like that.
Oh, yes.
It's Rosanna Arquette's the actress.
Trish, I think you're correct.
And then the other one's Trudy, the one
that's always sitting on the couch.
Yeah, the dark-headed girl.
Yeah, I was gonna say dark-headed.
So it had a great cast. 92% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah, well, of course. We know that movie's
96% positive audience reaction. 8.9 on IMDb. It made $107.9 million in America. Worldwide, $213 million on an $8
million movie.
Yep.
That's insane. That's one of the lowest budget movies I think.
Yeah.
That we've done.
Yeah.
for it to be the most successful
Yeah,
of
it is.
of the movies.
Yeah, because if you think about it, Clay Pigeons cost $8 million also,
Yeah.
and it made like 2.7.
Yeah.
And obviously not the same type of movie at all.
Right.
But
right.
Still, yet Pulp Fiction knocked it
Yeah.
out of the park.
Well, and that just blows my mind. 8 million because again, there's the scenery and the places. So like, is Jack Rabbit Slims? Is that like an actual joint? They just went in there and filmed, or did they? I mean,
well, that's interesting that you mentioned that. So we got a couple of facts here. So the largest chunk of the budget, minus the actors, was the construction of the Jack Rabbit Slim set. So it was constructed and built just for the movie. $150,000.
Damn.
So we had Quentin Tarantino wrote the character of Winston Wolfe, especially for Harvey Keitel.
Yeah.
Uma Thurman did not like the actual song that was played at Jack Rabbit Slim's contest, Chuck Berry's "You Never Can Tell." Quentin Tarantino said, "Uma, trust me, it's going to work."
Yeah,
and obviously it did.
It totally works. Yeah.
We have the F word. How many times would you think the F word is used in this?
Oh, jeez.
Now, probably when I was younger at the time, this might have been the most F words I'd heard in a movie up until that point.
Maybe. It's laden with it for sure.
So it is it is 265 times.
Wow.
Yeah, it's said quite a bit.
Wow.
Bruce Willis.
I want to say I was gonna say I wonder who says it the most, but I have a feeling it's Sam Jackson's character because I can totally see it.
This is his only Oscar nomination as well. Sam Jackson is Pulp Fiction.
Really, ever?
Yep.
Damn.
Bruce Willis only worked 18 days on this film. This was one of the
most well done, Bruce.
Well done, Bruce. This was one of the first movies to utilize the internet for advertising.
Sure.
Marcellus and Mia never speak on screen together.
No, they're
on screen together, but never speak.
Yeah, and even their scenes on screen together are kind of
brief.
Limited. Yeah. No, but you're right. They sure don't.
And this is the third biggest R-rated box office earner of 1994, after True Lies at 146 million and Speed at 121 million.
Wow. Look at that range of movies right there. Of course, we're coming in 3 with those. I mean, yeah.
I mean, 1994 had a fantastic lineup of movies.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well,
I mean,
yeah. Natural Born Killers was 94 too. Wasn't it?
Yeah. I mean, you've got Ace Ventura and Pet Detective. You got the Shawshank Redemption, Pulp Fiction, Forrest Gump, Dumb and Dumber.
Wow.
The Lion King, Schindler's List, Leon the Professional, The Mask,
nice,
Speed, What's Eating Gilbert Grape.
Yeah. Oh, but that's a good one.
The Crow, Clerks.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Iconic. So just
Natural Born Killers, Philadelphia, Stargate.
Yeah. If you need any more proof about how awesome the 90s were.
I mean,
I graduated in 1994.
I saw that you said that on your show the other day.
Yeah.
Very cool. But yeah, 1994, for this movie to have been released at $8 million in 1994, that was the competition.
Yeah.
And these were standout films.
Yeah.
These weren't slouches.
Nope, they sure weren't.
Pulp Fiction.
They're all, in their own right. Every movie you just listed there could be considered an iconic movie.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, any one of those movies there, we could do a show on, pretty much.
Oh, yeah.
Pretty much any.
We probably will. You should copy paste.
Yes.
Folks, we just gave you the next 6 months.
Yes.
Movies.
Yeah, just 1994 movies. There we
go. Right.
So we have the Pulp Fiction. We've both said this is an iconic movie, and I would assume a lot of our listeners, or at least over half, would have watched this movie.
Surely by now, and if you haven't, why?
Yeah.
Or if you haven't, go watch now. Not now.
After the show.
After the show.
Because I'm sure you've seen the scenes, or at least seen pictures of the scenes we're going to talk about.
Yeah.
So it's not like we're really
going to vaulted with the long black hair, kind of half pulled back in a ponytail, long, black suit. It's
the iconic, the dance sequence, Jack Rabbit. Oh, here's another interesting thing before we move on. So Steve Buscemi,
yes,
is a waiter at Jack Rabbit Slim's.
Buddy Holly.
but he was originally supposed to play Jimmy, who is
Really?
played by Quentin Tarantino.
Yeah.
The only reason he didn't was because there were scheduling conflicts.
Interesting.
So therefore, he took the role as just the waiter.
Doesn't Tarantino make a point of appearing like in his films?
I think
Even
so.
Like little cameos usually.
And
Like, I'm not sure if that's I'm sure about that, but it seems like I read it somewhere.
He does in most.
Point, but it seems like, I look back on most of them.
I don't know if he doesn't.
I was going to say, I don't know if he's in Reservoir Dogs when I think about it either.
He's Mr. Brown.
Oh, Mr. Brown.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, because he's the one that brings up the conversation about Madonna's song "Like a Virgin."
Right. God, I haven't seen that movie.
Yeah, that's a great. For a long time in my life, I battled in my mind between which I thought was better, Reservoir Dogs or Pulp Fiction.
Well, I was reading earlier, interestingly enough, and it was talking about all the ties in Tarantino movies. So apparently, like, Vincent Vega is Vic Vega's brother, who is a character in Reservoir Dogs.
Played by Michael Madsen.
Michael Madsen, the character.
Mr. Blonde.
Yep, I forgot which one he played.
Yeah. And they were going to do a movie together. Have you read about this? Called the Double Vic, or Double V, something like that. But obviously John Travolta and Michael Madsen became too old.
And
so
they didn't
do it.
Right.
But I think there is a spec script written. So not a whole script, but a part of one. So that is kind of cool. So let's dive right in. Plot story. I mean,
it's good, and I kind of forgot because it had been so long when I started watching it, and I knew that I remembered that it was kind of broken to parts.
Yeah.
But I couldn't remember what the hell the story was exactly. I was like, wait a minute, what is the plot here exactly? Because I couldn't remember. But then about halfway through, I remember I was like, no, this is really, it's all about the briefcase.
Yep.
The whole movie is about that briefcase.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because, a lot of theories have circulated over the years
in the brief.
that.
Yeah.
And one of them ties it back to Reservoir Dogs as well, because one of the theories being that it's like the heist, the diamonds or whatever.
That's what I've read that as well. I've read, Gold. I've read Someone's Soul.
I read Marcellus Wallace's Soul.
Yeah, Marcellus Wallace.
And the argument being the first scene you see of him is from the back, and he's got this Band-Aid
on his neck.
And apparently one of the things, I guess it's a biblical thing. I'm honestly not sure, but it would suggest that the devil or whatever takes your soul, because I guess the theory being that Marcellus Wallace has sold his soul to the devil at some point. Devil takes his soul back to his neck. That's why the Band-Aid's there.
Right.
And that's what's actually in the briefcase. He's trying to get it back from the devil.
I've actually heard a very similar thing, so that's kind of cool.
Yeah, interesting. It's an interesting theory when you think about it. It's like, well, I mean, yeah, I saw another one suggested that it was a nude photo of Mia Wallace.
Huh, I hadn't heard that one.
Which was, personally, I found that kind of a weak one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like Marcellus Wallace's soul sounds way better.
Yeah.
Argument.
Much better.
Much better. Good movie.
I totally agree with you. So, let's see here. Basically, it's what Casey said. They're trying to recover this briefcase that's been taken by this group, and there's little subplots. You've got Butch, played by Bruce Willis. He's a boxer who doesn't really. He's like a low-level boxer.
Yeah. Well, you get the feeling that he came close to making it big, didn't really make it big, and his career is kind of winding down, and he's getting older.
And he's not really wanting to give it up.
No.
He's not really wanting to throw in the towel. Marcellus Wallace, pays him pretty much to throw the fight.
Correct.
He accidentally kills the man.
Kills the dude.
And
kills the dude following a really weird scene with Christopher Walken that's just like, it starts off and you're just like, yeah, this is a great story, and then he's like talking about gold watches up their rear ends.
So there,
for lack of a better word.
So in that monologue that Christopher Walken has, there's a point where he actually pauses and stops for a moment. And in reality, he had forgotten his next dialogue.
Wow.
But it seemed so real that Tarantino kept it in.
Kept it in, sure.
Yeah, just a little, some more information that we read about. But, Butch, it's not alluded that Butch cares about anyone else really other than Fabian, I think is her name.
Yeah.
And she seems to be, maybe pregnant with his baby.
That's what I'm thinking.
That's what I've guessed. And they're getting ready to get out of town because Marcellus Wallace is on their trail.
Yeah.
He sent some goons after them.
Because he took the money and did not go to fight and kill the guy and bounced.
And he knew that he had to be out of town. But Fabian's left this gold watch, the most important item that Butch owns, back at the apartment that they were fleeing from.
Right.
So he goes there to go to get it. And some misfortunate things happen to, Butch and Marcellus.
Yeah, it sure does.
It's
kind of it's one of the darker
aspects of the movie.
Yeah, for sure.
Now, it was funny, when I first watched that scene for me, I mean, I was probably a 14, maybe 15-year-old kid. And I didn't know about that scene. Like, the GIMP.
Right.
I was like, a GIMP? What is? I didn't know I didn't know who is that? What is he doing?
Right. Well, and if you probably walked up to anybody on the street and even tried to suggest something like that, I don't even know
if anybody would really.
Or I don't know what kind of reactions you get. There might be a reaction right now with listeners like, did he just say, "Yep, what's going on?" Yeah. But yeah, no. And so basically, to put it in context of the movie, it's this leather-clad guy, more or less, complete leather face, the whole 9 yards, and it's very darkly sexually oriented scene. To put it into the best context, I suppose that we can.
Also,
and people die.
The guy who played the GIMP and the lady that played he played Mr. Wolf's girlfriend. Were married in real life.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. I can't recall her. Raquel.
Yep.
Yeah, that's her name.
Good job on the trivia. It always blows my mind.
Yeah,
I'm telling you, like one of these nights, we are gonna have a trivia contest. Like, take on Adam.
People call in.
Yeah, we'll take on Adam.
We'll have to do that.
Yeah, we'll figure out how the best way to go about doing it. Because Adam's pretty good with the trivia. Like, see if you can stump Adam.
Yeah, and I didn't even have that one written down. Like, some of the so obviously some of the facts I have written down, but some of them I don't.
Right? No.
I've just memorized
conversations with you. If you go back and watch these old podcasts, we're not on the radio. We're not in this studio with the equipment necessarily that we have, and so no, like you can go back and watch them and see Adam just like pulling stuff. I don't even know the cinematic ether. I don't know. It's crazy. We need to go find a trivia night somewhere and rack up.
No, they did have a trivia night. They had one, I think, locally in Woodbooger, I think, last week. Maybe that's something to suggest over at Blackberry.
I've had that thought before, honestly.
It could be a cool.
Yeah, Blackbear's got some stuff coming up. The town of Appalachia's got some stuff coming. Like, actually, tomorrow, starting at 8 in the morning, there's a Jeep rally.
Oh, cool!
Which is cool. So they've got like an off-road guided ride and an on-road guided ride. Starts in front of the Appalachian Mercantile right there. Appalachian Mercantile, Black Bear is kind of right there together. And runs for a while. It's got the whole kind of day. So there's stuff going on.
Right.
And hopefully the weather's nice. And then I think June 17th is Main Street Music Fest. So there's going to be live music and stuff. That's right in front of Black Bear. So, I mean, Appalachia's got a lot of stuff going on this summer that's going to be cool. So hopefully everybody go down there and support.
It's going to be a cool summer. And I think we're going to go down there at some point and do maybe a live broadcast or something in the future.
Definitely could. I mean, we definitely could. That would be awesome.
I think so
too.
That would
be awesome.
So, characters. We've got.
If we're discussing favorite characters, that's a tough one. I always tend to lean towards Vincent Vega, though. I mean, it's really hard not to like his character.
So that would be your favorite character in the movie, Vince Vega.
I kind of have to say so because he's just a smooth character. Like, I'm watching the dance scene. Stacey and I are watching the dance scene. We were watching it earlier, and I was just like, man, like, I can't dance like that sometimes. I was like, holy shit. Like, oh, did I? Oh, yeah. I thought I yanked out my headphones.
Oh, no, you're good.
But I was like, man, I wonder if I subconsciously, like, did I get my moves from Vincent Vega in Pulp Fiction? I I don't know because I've seen it so many times, but I just kind of dig it. But no, his character's cool, and like I didn't realize, and it was one of those situations where I'm reading some stuff about the movie, and they're talking about how his character is always in the bathroom for too long.
Yeah.
And bad stuff happens every time.
That's true.
Every time he's in the bathroom, something messed up's going on.
You know what? I had not thought of that, and that is a good point.
Yeah, yeah. And there's several scenes with bathrooms because, like, again, when they're in the apartment at the beginning, the last guy comes out of the bathroom with a gun, and then there's the scene at Mia Wallace at their house with the heroin overdose. And then in the scene at the diner, he's in the bathroom. And I'm pretty sure I read that he's like reading the same magazine. What was it?
It shows it at one point.
I might have it. Let me see if I've still got it here.
I can't recall.
It was like Modern Blase or something like that. It was something crazy. But supposedly not supposedly because when you watch the movie it's there, but that's what he's reading in the bathroom in the diner, and then the scene. I can't remember what. Well, when he was at Mia Wallace's house, he was talking himself into leaving. But at any rate, his character spends a lot of time in the bathroom.
Yeah, he does, and it ultimately leads to his demise.
Yeah,
if you think about it,
kinda,
because Vincent Vega doesn't survive the movie. He gets killed by Butch Coolidge.
Yep,
Butch Coolidge. Now, I would say for the longest time, and it could be just because, the last, year or so, I've always liked Bruce Willis, and I've always liked John Travolta as well.
Yeah.
The movies that they did, and when I grew up watching them.
Yeah, we were discussing Welcome Back, Kotter earlier, prior to watching the show. That's like some old Travolta.
Now,
I don't know if you would.
I've never seen an episode of it.
Really,
but I've seen.
You're not that much younger than I am.
Like I've seen the opening credits, but I've never seen. And I've seen scenes of it.
The sweat hogs and everything.
I've heard.
I totally watched a lot of. I mean, it was a good show, especially at the time, But it wasn't. I can't remember if I don't guess it was made. I would have been watching it. I guess late '80s.
Yeah.
So I remember a lot of stuff like Welcome Back, Kotter. I remember, of course, stuff like Who's the Boss.
I do remember Who's the Boss coming on.
And what was the one with Robin Thicke and Kirk Cameron? Oh, Growing Pains.
Growing Pains.
Oh, of course, Saved by the Bell.
Yeah.
I think I've seen every episode.
Now, I will say this. I was part of a trio that won Saved by the Bell trivia at Fish.
Really? Of course.
Yeah. Yeah.
See, I told you guys.
And we won little Saved by the Bell bobbleheads, which ended up broken in an argument.
These are like Slater bobbleheads.
Yeah. Zach Morris, I think his head got torn off and thrown, and Lisa Turtle got stepped on and smashed.
Oh, jeez. Wow.
I think that's what happened to those.
Yeah.
But we did win them.
And Jesse went on to do, what was the name of that movie?
Showgirls.
Showgirls, right.
Which, honestly, to this very day,
and Slater did.
I've never watched it. I've never made it all the way through Showgirls.
I have very little recollection. I think I've watched it one time, maybe.
I tried to watch it,
and I remember nothing about it other than she's topless in it at some point, and the only reason I know that is because that's the only reason I think anybody even watched the movie.
Interesting fact about Showgirls, though, before we move on, Showgirls was an initial flop when it was released because it was released NC-17.
Sure.
But
really,
over time, Showgirls has made over $100 million profit.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's.
But initially, it was a flop.
My earlier statement.
Yeah. So it's turned out to be a guilty pleasure, I guess. For a lot of people.
But like put that in context with the $8 million budget and the $294 million that
Pulp Fiction
made worldwide, and just as what was that year? Is that like current as the article or whatever?
Yeah, yeah.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
Well, geez, when you put it, okay, well, never mind, $100 million off of the 264 or whatever it was is not too bad.
No,
really, when you think about it.
No, not bad at all.
Well done, Jesse Spano.
Yeah, yeah. And what's also interesting, just a quick note, is the director of Showgirls. Let me make sure I'm 100% correct on this, but I'm pretty sure I am.
I would wager money on you being correct on it.
So Showgirls, let me see, is directed by the same director as RoboCop,
Oh, really?
Total Recall, and Basic Instinct,
Wow.
and then Showgirls.
Interesting.
Paul
RoboCop seems slightly out of place there. Basic Instinct and Showgirls
And Total Recall.
and Total Recall. Yeah, yeah. Well,
So you got two big blockbusters, then you've got
Yeah.
like a sexual thriller with Basic Instinct,
yeah, probably.
which I've actually never seen all the way through.
Really, it did. I would imagine it did pretty well.
It made over 100
because it
mil.
was super racy for the time.
And it seemed like, and it was spoofed. When your movie's
Yeah.
popular, when you get spoofed.
Yeah, right.
You know what I
Right.
mean?
Yeah.
When you get to the point where you're spoofed, you're like, all right, my movie's popular.
yeah, I made it.
But Butch would be my favorite character on Pulp Fiction now. It went between Vincent and Butch.
Yeah.
But I would say now Butch, and it might be because of Bruce Willis's condition in modern day.
Sure.
You know what I mean? But I think Bruce Willis, I think that's one of his, along with 12 Monkeys and another Bruce Willis movie, even in Die Hard, I think this is one of his best acting performances.
Yeah. Was it Bruce Willis that was in Tears of the Sun?
He was.
That's what I was thinking.
It was with Monica Bellucci.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a pretty decent movie too.
And it was believed that was the movie, and I don't know, obviously this is just things I've read, that he had got a concussion on that movie, which years later has led to What's Wrong with Him Now.
Whoa.
Now, I don't know if it's true.
Crazy.
Several things that I've read said that, so it's just, yeah. So, what about a favorite scene?
Oh, jeez. That's a tough one, too, because, again, a lot of them, there's a lot of some pretty crazy, intense scenes. I mean, I like the Jackrabbit Slim scene. Obviously, I mean, we've mentioned a couple of times in the restaurant business, so I had a firm appreciation for it.
Right.
I was just like, this is a very cool idea. Like, I want to do this now. And I'm pretty grandiose sometimes in my head. And so I was like, I'm gonna do this.
And I think that would be a cool place to have.
Oh, yeah, man. Absolutely. Because, I mean, imagine if you don't remember the movie or if you haven't seen it, Jackrabbit Slim's is this real old-timey joint. Not old-timey, but because it's kind of swanky.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But when I say old-timey...
Because it has like what is it, a $5...
$5 milkshake.
Yeah.
That Vincent Vega makes an issue out of.
Yeah, he questions.
Yeah.
No bourbon, nothing?
Yeah. But it's all throwback stuff. So there's a Marilyn Monroe person going around. Again, like we mentioned, their waiter is Buddy Holly.
Yeah.
I can't remember who was on the stage singing when they went in, but
I can't recall.
Yeah, there's somebody, but so it's all throwback stuff, and they're sitting in this old like Cadillac.
Yeah.
You know that you get in, it's got the seats of the car, but it's got like a table and stuff there, and it's super cool.
With the menus that they have, if you get, I don't know if it was the Blu-ray or the DVD, but there's a special version of the Blu-ray or DVD, and that menu comes with it.
Oh, that's
and
cool.
It's exactly like that.
Yeah, I mean, so I liked that scene pretty good. But again, the movie's full of just cool scenes.
One of my favorite scenes, I would have to say, is and we've not really touched on it too much, is the Mr. Wolf scene.
Yeah.
Mr. Wolf is pretty much a cleanup man.
Yep.
Well, pretty much he tells people how to do it because he doesn't do it himself.
Correct.
You know, and he pretty much, is direct to Vincent and Jules. You know, you need to do this. You need to do this.
Yeah, and he comes in and he takes control very quick. Matter of fact, because this is where we're at. The wife's going to be home at this time. This is,
Yes. And I love that because I like the scene because it gets to show what a ludicrous situation. You've got these hitmen that accidentally, they pulled off the job that they're supposed to do.
Right.
They've gotten who they were supposed to get Marvin out of there. Vincent turns around accidentally, fires his gun at Marvin's head. It explodes all over the back windshield just because Jules went over a MF and bump.
Yep.
You know?
Yeah.
That's what it turns into.
Yep.
And now he's pulling into Jimmy's house.
Control. Yeah.
Jimmy's wife is going to be home in a short amount of time. What are we going to do?
And
that's where Mr. Wolf pops in. And I think that's a really fun scene. I think it's about an 11-minute scene. And it hits everything, like from Mr. Wolf handing out the money to Jimmy, for his aunt,
Yeah.
Aunt and uncle that gave him the bedding, to even the small little thing like Jimmy mentioned earlier on that how he gets gourmet coffee and he doesn't buy the cheap stuff.
Yeah.
And then even that little look after Mr. Wolf takes the sip of the coffee, that's good.
Yeah.
I thought it was a really fun, fast-paced scene.
Yeah. And again, it speaks again to just how well acted the movie is all the way, like,
even
part, really.
Even at the end of it, when he's like, okay, now for you two, we got to strip off those bloody rags, put them in the bag, spray you all down.
Yeah.
And then they've got these volleyball-looking, T-shirt and silly-looking shorts on. And they look like dorks, a couple of dorks.
And then they head to the diner.
So something I noticed, and I've probably seen this movie, I would say 30 times at least. So Quentin Tarantino is Jimmy. Now go try to remember this next time you have time.
All right.
So he's already been sprayed off by Mr. Wolf.
Right.
So Quentin Tarantino puts his index finger out and shames him as he's walking away. I never had seen it before, and I rewound it twice because he just does it twice. He goes, and he just does his index finger over a pointer finger and walks away, and it was silly.
Yeah, right.
And I was like, how did I never notice that?
Right? No, that easily seems like...
It was like when we both recognized when Bruce Willis turned his head on Death Becomes Her that time.
Yeah.
Just these little subtle things.
Yeah, that was crazy.
And I think that Bruce Willis does a good job. Well, everyone does, but
it's hard to...
But it's so random, like Butch Marcellus Wallace is accidentally walking across the street, and here is Butch pulling up in this little old Honda.
Yeah.
The way that scene starts
is
a great scene.
Tied together really, really well. Because it's one of those movies that it ends where it starts.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It comes full circle.
It does.
And there's all kinds of there's something else that I read about it. Before we were getting close to the end of this segment. But it was talking about one of the things, one of the tie-ins of Tarantino movies and stuff, and it was talking about the Fox Force 5.
Right.
That Mia Wallace's character was talking about Jack Rabbit Slims.
Right.
And when you go back and look at it, I wish I had it pulled up right now, but she's listening through the different characters, like this one's the blonde's the leader.
Yeah. And
when you go back and really look, it heavily suggests the female characters from the Kill Bill series.
That's what I thought. Because one has she says
knives. I mean, Uma Thurman's character is swords and stuff, and you know what I mean. Kill Bill, that's the whole thing, and so it's very interesting, and it's interesting the way Tarantino seems to be able to really
make his world and all these characters with all these
together, and it makes you wonder, did he write the base of all these movies have already existed, so the that basic thread was already there and he just kind of built up on it. I don't know, but it's crazy.
He's created this huge 25-30 year universe.
Yeah, because Pulp Fiction was before Kill Bill, right?
Yeah.
That's where that idea probably spawned from, obviously, but you would think he had the idea already. I don't know, it's a great movie.
I think so too.
It was fun to rewatch it again. It's good. It's entertaining.
So, what do you think about the music and the score? Does it?
Yeah.
I mean, what can we say?
You can't go wrong with it. I couldn't remember what all the song. I always remember the theme song.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Which we opened up the show with tonight.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. And then the one that always stood out in my head that I always remembered was in it was "Girl, You'll Be a Woman Soon."
Yeah.
Urge Overkill.
Yep.
At Mia's house and stuff.
Which is the only song I really know from Urge Overkill.
Yeah, that's the only one I know.
I don't know any other songs.
And I know I've listened to some other Urge Overkill stuff, but it probably just based off of that song. But I couldn't.
Me too.
Tell you anything about
them. This soundtrack is iconic, and it's got a lot of surfer kind of music from the 50s and 60s.
Oh yeah.
I went back. This is the Rebels Comanche. And this is a song, it looks like it's from probably the 60s, maybe a Beach Boys type-ish.
No, get some Nat Funicello.
Yeah.
Is that what her name was? Nat Funicello? I think that's what it was.
I think so.
Old beach movies, Disney beach movies.
Yep.
Weird on a Disney reference to Mickey Mouse.
With Pulp Fiction.
I don't know how that just happened. That was a hell of a leap.
It was. So originality, we've discussed that throughout the movie. This is a very original movie.
Sure.
He won most original screenplay.
Yeah, it's arguably one of the best crime movies probably ever. I guess you could call it a crime movie, I suppose.
A crime caper.
Caper.
So, other than any other any other Quentin Tarantino films, what would you compare Pulp Fiction to? There's not really anything that would be really, like,
because Tarantino movies are very Tarantino-esque. I mean, you can see it. You can see it in movies like we've discussed it before, where he was just doing the cinematography basically, mm-hmm. but you can see it there.
And you can even see, like, in natural or True Romance, the mm-hmm. characters, because he wrote the screenplay.
Yeah,
those seem like his characters.
Yeah, totally.
And although I do love True Romance, I think it's a great movie. I'm wondering what he would have done differently with it
if it was straight up his movie.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I'm sure the film work would be super interesting because he plays really close. Like you said, he pays really close attention to, like, everything that you're seeing on that screen. Probably has some kind of context.
And it's not by chance. It's supposed to be on that screen. You know what I mean? At every second.
Yeah.
Even in Pulp Fiction, before they go into Jack Rabbit Slims, when she's like, "Don't be a square."
Yeah, this guy, and that's the only time that happens in that movie.
And I wonder
some little graphic like that.
And I wonder if he does that on purpose, because in Kill Bill, Beatrix Kiddo, the name, is never mentioned. It's always bleeped out in the first. I think all of Kill Bill Volume 1.
Right.
But it's not. But it's bleeped out. But why?
Why?
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because even the flashback when all the little kids are around her, but she's a grown adult sitting in the kid.
Yeah.
And then she says, "Beatrix Kiddo." That's the first time her name is mentioned. I think it's in Volume 2.
I think you're right.
But he only seems to do that in those two movies.
Yeah.
Like, I don't remember anything in any of the others that would be like, he has the little trace of a square as she does it.
Like a dashed line.
Yeah, but why?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I've never understood why, unless he just wanted people to ask why.
Well, yeah. Well, and the only thing that I could come up with, because I'm trying to keep in mind, they're probably on drugs.
It's true too.
Yeah, they're probably high, but you don't see any drug use prior to. I think the first drug use scene that you see is there in Jack Rabbit Slims.
Yeah,
she's doing
in the bathroom,
and then the bathroom, and then back at her house. I mean, you see a drug transaction with Vincent Vega and Zed.
Yeah.
But, something else I noticed there with Mia Wallace's character and with Thurman's character, I know, did she wear shoes at all in the movie?
No.
I didn't think so.
No.
I don't think she's ever got shoes on in the whole movie.
Nope, she doesn't. No, that you mentioned that.
Pretty much every scene, because when you first really meet her character and they're heading out, she's like, comes out of the bathroom. You haven't seen anything of her except for close up of her face, like her mouth, lips, and then her feet.
Yep.
And she's like, "Let's go." And then from that point on, you never see her with shoes.
That's true. And I think that probably goes back to Quentin Tarantino's fetish for feet.
Oh, well, that's sure. If he's got one, then that's definitely what it is.
But that was probably before everyone learned.
Sure.
Because if you look back at his movie, he's got a lot of places where there's feet.
Yeah.
Even in Death Proof. Have you watched Death Proof?
No.
That's probably my least favorite Quentin Tarantino movie. However, it does have a close-up of a woman's feet. Kill Bill Volume 1 does as well.
Sure.
This one has close-ups of her feet. So there's a couple of different ones that do. Some people like feet.
Yeah.
Not me.
To each their own.
Exactly.
Do a poll.
Do you like feet? Yes or no?
Yeah.
So what would your final words be on Pulp Fiction? Would you recommend this piece of art?
Sure, of course. And that's what it is. I mean, it's a piece of art, I would say.
I think so, too.
For sure, arguably. And again, it's had the success it has for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
And again, it's another one of those great movies. That's what's so great about these movies. This show, honestly, on the Vault 92.5 is there older movies that you kind of forgot about.
Mm-hmm.
Like, nobody forgot about Pulp Fiction.
No.
Like, everybody knows it, but when was the last time you really watched it?
Or had a discussion about it.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like, wow. And even this discussion now, kind of like, well, I want to go back and watch that again. They suggested it might have been Marcel Wallace's soul in the briefcase. I might want to watch that again.
Yeah.
And see if I can figure out what it is. And I'd read a thing one time, honestly, and I want to say it was can't remember if it was Samuel Jackson or if it was John Travolta's character. Apparently, they asked Quentin Tarantino on set, what's in the briefcase.
He wouldn't tell them, would he?
Well, the article that I'd read suggested that his response was whatever he wanted to be.
Okay, I think I'd read something similar.
You know, so that's what's cool about that movie. Again, it's full of so much pop culture stuff. Like you said, a lot of it is tied to Tarantino and his own little thing, but it still leaves itself open to so much interpretation by the viewer that you're just gonna notice little things that are gonna be like, oh, did you just see that? Was that what that was? That Marilyn Monroe standing over the grate? You know what I mean?
I mean, there are little things like Casey said that you will pick up time and time again if you look for them.
Sure.
And the story stands up, the characters stand up. Even trying to piece it together in chronological order in your mind. Like originally I was trying to piece it together, and I pieced it together, but I was actually going to write out, talk about the timeline of things, but I figured that would take too long.
Sure.
And everybody can, go and look that up as well.
Yeah.
But this is a fun movie that's original. It's got a great cat. I don't think there's a weak link.
No.
Nothing.
Nowhere.
Even Esmeralda, the cab driver, which I didn't like for the longest time.
Yeah.
I've grown to warm up to her and her character, kind of get you to know a little bit more about Butch as well.
Yes, agreed.
And then he's like
an essential character.
Yeah,
in that sense.
Because you learn then, that Butch really, she's like, what's your American name mean? And he's like, our names are American. They don't mean S. They don't mean anything, really. Right. Which kind of, makes you think that Butch is just out for him, Fabian. Get the hell out.
Right.
Get the hell out of Dodge.
Out.
Or LA. Your LA privileges are revoked. So, yeah, it's been a fun show. So, go check out Pulp Fiction. And, I don't know. I've really wanted to talk about Pulp Fiction for a while.
I know we might have to almost. I don't know. We could probably do a second episode on it.
Maybe
not on this. Maybe we do a side podcast. I don't know. Maybe not. It's a good one to talk about.
I think so too.
We'll let the viewers decide
if
they want us to do another episode on it when they go and watch it. Okay. But next week, I think. What was it next week? Sling Blade.
Yeah, next week we have Billy Bob Thornton's Sling Blade.
Yeah, I've never seen it.
Wow, you've never seen it? Okay.
I've never seen it.
So
I know that kind of like...
It started as a short film, and Billy Bob wrote and directed it. So, and it was a cheaply made movie, also by Miramax, who also distributed Pulp Fiction.
Of course.
So, and I used to love...
We don't do this intentionally, I swear. No,
I used to love seeing that.
All end up tied together in some way.
Well, when I was younger, whenever I would see the M, it was the big M, and it said Miramax. In my mind, I was like, this will be an interesting movie.
Sure.
Just like now, when I see A24, I'm kind of like, this is going to be an interesting movie.
I used to think that way about Lionsgate movies, too.
Lionsgate as well.
Sometimes I still do, honestly.
Yeah.
But I don't...
Because you could see the logos and think, this production company makes good or interesting movies.
Yeah, agreed.
And that's how I felt for the longest time about Miramax. And I think it was due to Pulp Fiction.
Sure.
So for you all that are listening on 92.5 WLSD, The Vault, we will be back in just a moment with part 2, The Other People Show.
Yeah.
Until then, I'm Adam.
I'm Casey.
See you in just a moment.
Yep.